Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
ಓಪನ್ ವಿತ್ PDF ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ಅದು ಲಿಂಕ್ ಇದಾಗಿದೆ, ಬ್ರೌಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಹೌದಾ?
ರೈಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಓಪನ್ ವಿತ್ PDF. ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಶೇರಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾ?
ಅದು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರಿ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಓಪನ್ ವಿತ್ PDF ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಸರ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಎಡ್ಜಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ? ನಂದು ಅದನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು.
ರೈಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ PDF ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್,
ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
PDF
ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರೋಮು, ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಎಡ್ಜು,
PDF.
Good morning, sir.
PDF ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಓಕೆ, ಹಂಗೆ
ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದಾನೇ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಸರ್, ನೀವು ಇವಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ.
ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್,
ಡಬಲ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್
ಇಲ್ಲ ಎಡ್ಜ್ ಇಂದ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ? ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಎಡ್ಜ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಯಾ, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಎಡ್ಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್
ಶೇರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಶೇರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್.
ಆಯ್ತು.
ಓಕೆ, ಡನ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. Okay, good morning all of you. I'll resume back from where we stopped. In the last class, we stopped at CSMA. Let us go ahead. So before going to CSMA, I'll just brush it from the multiple access resolution protocol. The multiple access protocols is nothing but there will be multiple stations trying to access a common channel, right? The stations are independent, but they are connected to a common channel. We call it as they are shared. They are going to use a shared single channel, right? Always remember that multiple independent nodes or stations. It's here, when nodes or stations are connected and use a common link, only one link will be there, right? And that normally will be called as a broadcast link. To coordinate the access to the link, right? They need to access the link and try to send the data. Then in that particular case, this multiple access control protocols have been proposed. And this particular protocol is only to regulate their transmission, right? Regulate their transmission onto the shared broadcast channel. And it can be wired, the link can be wired, it can be wireless, right? And satellite network, whatever it is. Okay, so they have to somehow try to send the data to the needy, right? Wherever it has to be destination, it has to go. This will be used. Now we went through that The first one is random access protocol, Aloha, and the continuation of Aloha was CSMA. You have seen the first one is called as a pure Aloha, where initially that they thought that independent stations releases the data independently. It is something like that. I can remember in the signals when there is no policeman, no signal light, right? All are independent. They try to cross each other. You know that there is a jam, right? Nothing can come out. It's what you can say is a disaster. So that's why they started modifying that particular protocol. And they thought that, okay, there may be this particular concept may be adopted to regulate the transmission. And that was much improved. And they got that it is 18.4% was the efficiency. But still they want to better the efficiency. They use what is called as premium. Each one was given the independent each one is given some slot, regular slot will be given. They start at t is equal to 0. The slot ratio is fixed. So they have to release the data only in that particular slot duration. Suppose if you take it as 1 millisecond is the slot duration. At t is equal to 0, if a station is ready with a frame, it has to release the frame. At t is equal to 0.5 millisecond, if it is ready, it cannot. It has to wait for 1 millisecond, right? That was somehow improved the efficiency. Then we went to CSMA to better the efficiency. CSMA is nothing but listen before talk, right? It is a listen before talk. That is quite little better, right? It is something like that when 4 or 5 friends join together. Now, if one person is talking and if you try to speak in between, there will be a noise. You wait until it completes. See, all mute speakers, your microphones. So this CSMA concept is nothing but it will wait, right? So it will wait for the one person to complete his talk, then you can release the data. But still here, there is a problem that the propagation time is a problem. If station B starts sending the data, only C starts finding that whether the data from B is traveling only at time T2. Till then, not at time T2, it is time T3 can take. At T3 only it will come to know. Before that, if it is ready with the data and try to send the data, then they clash each other, right? This is another problem in this. So to solve that particular problem, they have proposed 3 methods: one persistence, P persistence, and non-persistent. Still, it was not that more efficiency as they expected, right? So they proposed some modifications. So what can be done? So look at the previous situation. So what has happened in the previous situation is B has completely sent its packet. Suppose the packet is of 1 GB. It has completely delivered the data, right? That means it is not coming to know there is a clash. It keeps on releasing the first bit, next followed by second bit. You look at here, as the time progresses, the data is coming from B, right? Similarly, the C also is releasing the data. It is not testing whether there is a clash has happened or not. So it is completely out of the first bit, it is releasing the bits. The whole packet is being released by both B and C, but they are colliding and it is not reaching the destinations. That is a disaster that is happening. And it's a waste of time. And one more thing in this particular protocols, probably the stations may not repeat the packets. If the stations doesn't repeat the packets, then the data will not reach the destination. That particular packet is lost. how to avoid this. So to avoid that, what is proposed is the next algorithm that you know, that the protocol that is called as collision CSMA CD. So collision detection protocol, right? So collision detection protocol in the sense, rather than either C or B completely send the packet, they can, after sending the data, they have to listen to the channel once again, right? Previous in CSMA, they were just releasing the packets bit by bit, one after that, but they were not listening to the channel, right? Whether the collision has occurred or not. But now the one addition that is added is they listen to the channel, right? So if there is a collision or not, right? If the transmission is successful or not, right? That means here you look at here that a station monitors the medium after it has sent a frame to see if it is successful or if there is a collision, right? Now look at here. A has released the data at T1. The first bit is released, right? Now it is having a propagation time to reach B, its own propagation time to reach B depends upon the distance. Then it is reaching C at this particular time T3, right? So at this particular time, now C checks the channel. It finds that the channel is free because at this particular duration, it takes almost a T3 to reach the station C, the data released by A. So C at this particular time finds that there is no data released by anybody. It starts releasing the data, right? But after releasing the data here, both A and C will monitor the station, right? Monitor the channel, right? Whether the data is going properly or if there is a collision, right? Now at this time, the collision occurs. So both the energies have collided. And then there is a combination of the energy now, right? The one bit, if it is released, will be carrying some energy. The bit that is released here is also carrying energy. Both will collide. So what has happened is when they collide, the energy gets added, right? Because energy will not be lost. So energy will be added. So when the added energy signal, what will happen is the data now, whatever the data that is C is released, added with the energy, it is collided, and then the data is altered and it start traveling. Similarly, the collided data start traveling here. So what is happening now is C releases the data at T2, start listening to the channel. Now at T3, it listens that there is some variation in the energy, right? Because how it comes to know there is a collision? There is a variation in the energy. Once it comes to know there is a variation in the energy, it comes to know that the collision has definitely occurred. So what it does is it detects the collision and abort. Abort in the sense, from here to here, it has released some few bits, right? Few bits of the packet, and instead of delivering the whole packet, now it stops here. So that means only few bits of the packet is being released, so that the bandwidth which is now unnecessarily consumed is saved, the energy is saved. At the same time here, there is a lot of time it takes for this particular bit to travel to A, but A is listening now. After releasing the bit at T1, it is listening. At T4, it comes to know that the energy level of the channel is increased, right? Because the collided data. How that it comes to know that the energy level is increased is, look at here. There is a diagram, right? If only the bit is traveling, this is the energy level, right? If no other transmission is there, only one station is releasing the data. So the data has got the voltage, voltage will have the energy. The bit has got the energy. It will be traveling. So in the channel, you will see only this energy. Now in this particular case also, the frame is being transmitted in the free channel, but the energy remains constant. But when the collision occurs, this data and this data, they will collide, and this energy and this energy will add up. So what has happened is, now the red shows that energy is shot little beyond the normal. So when the abnormality of the energy is identified by the channel, then it comes to know that the collision has occurred and it aborts, right? So now look at here, it is clearly seen in this particular diagram that the what is shown in the yellow is a part of the C frame which is colliding with the part of the A frame being transmitted. So since it aborts here, only this amount of data is lost from C. At the same time, the collision detection mechanism for A is happening, taking a longer time because A is further away from C. So in this particular duration, T1 to T4, only at T4 it is coming to know that the collision has occurred. Till then, this is a part of the A frame that is being released, will be a waste, anyway it will abort. So after aborting, it comes to know that there is a collision, the data has not reached the destination. So both of them will once again try for the channel to be free. Once the channel is free, they release the data starting from the first bit. So the advantage here is there is a retransmission of the collided packet is happening. But in your Aloha and CSMA, the retransmission, especially CSMA, if you take, the retransmission was not happening. Now it will do the retransmission. So the packet is going to reach the destination safely. Okay. So that is what is the concept, the essence of CSMA CD, right? It is much better, right? So better efficiency when I compare to CSMA. Look at here, one by one, the protocol in the random access, the efficiency are getting improved, the throughput is getting improved, right? Because the scientists will come to know if one method has got this particular disadvantage, they try to improvise on it, right? So improvisation is still being done here, right? But here one constraint is there. What should be the maximum frame size in this particular collision detection, right? Maximum frame size should not be within the maximum transmission time, right? Suppose if you take A has got a packet with a maximum transmission time of 10 millisecond, right? Then in that case, if it is a 10 millisecond duration and if the propagation time is only 5 millisecond, then the whole packet is up to 10 millisecond. But within this, if I take the transmission time 5 millisecond, from anywhere, the A receives the packet in 5 millisecond. At that particular time, half the packet is transmitted. Then it will come to know that the collision has occurred. It will abort, and remaining other 5 milliseconds data is not being taken up for transmission, and it tries to retransmit. For example, if the propagation time is 5 millisecond, if the packet time is only 2 millisecond, then in that particular case, A completes the last bit, it will never listens to the channel. If it doesn't listen to the channel, so I'll repeat once again, if the propagation time is 5 millisecond and the duration of the packet, transmission time of the packet is just 2 millisecond, and within 2 milliseconds, A releases the packet, the whole packet. So only in the 2 milliseconds, A will be listening to the channel whether the collision has occurred or not. Later it leaves. But the collision detection, collided frames bit is coming after 2 milliseconds, at 5 milliseconds. At that time, the packet is collided and that particular packet is lost. That is what should be the minimum frame size, right? So the minimum frame size, it will decide that the minimum frame size must be at least 2 times the maximum propagation time. Means it should be greater than the propagation time, right? If it is greater than the propagation time only, like as I said, if the packet size is 10 millisecond and the propagation time is 5 millisecond, in that particular duration, A comes to know the collision has occurred, right? So it can abort and retransmit, right? So please remember here, all of you, the maximum frame size in the case of CSMA CD should be the transmission time of the packet, the packet size, the time what it takes to reach the destination should be at least 2 times the maximum propagation time, right? Then only the collision detection can be identified and the packet can be retransmitted, right? So now let us go to the situation where we can comprehend or analyze that what will be the difference between Aloha and CSMA, right? So the difference between Aloha and CSMA is, the first difference is the addition of persistence processes, right? There are 3 persistence processes. They are the additional, right, the precautions that is being taken by the CSMA protocol before sending the data. That will better the efficiency compared to Aloha. And the second difference is frame transmission, right? In Aloha, we first transmit the entire frame and then wait for the acknowledgement. But in CSMA CD, what is happening is, it will transmit the first bit and it keeps checking the channel whether the collision has occurred or not, right? So it waits, it keeps checking once again the channel, it not leave out, right? Simply it not keeps sending the data. It also listens to the channel after releasing the data, right? And the third difference is sending so this is an addition, right? This is an additional third one that is added to the CSMA CD is adding a short jamming signal that enforces the collision in the case other stations are not yet sensed the collision. You see now, A has sent the data, C has sent the data, they have been collided. C comes to know that the collision has occurred. So once again, this problem should not occur by other stations sending the data. C will send a short jamming signal, means cautioning the other station saying that the collision has occurred. So they should not try to, once again, trying to send the data in the channel. All of them should once again go into either persistence, one of the persistence method, once again, wait for the channel to be free and send the packets, right? Means the 3 processes there. So CSMA CD is, a station releases the data, keeps checking the channel, whether the collision has occurred. If it detects the collision, it aborts. That is one concept. But after aborting, it not keeps quiet, because the collision has occurred. Other stations should not unnecessarily once again create an havoc by sending the data. It will send a short jamming signal informing them to go into the persistence method back when they are ready with the data to be transferred, right? So this will clear now. So this is the flow diagram. Once again, all of them are built on the process of Aloha, right? So exponential back of time will be once again introduced here also, right? How it is introduced here is, in this particular case, is, you see here, once again here also in the case of CSMA CD, right? So the station, if it is ready with the data, because now you see that the collision has been detected. When the collision has been detected, it has to retransmit, right? So what it does is, it will initialize the attempts. The attempt is now k is equal to 0, it is initially. So it applies one of the transmission methods, checks whether the channel is idle. If the channel is idle, so it will, if the channel is idle, and it transmits the data, right? The transmission is done, right? Now, if the collision, it will check for the collision. If the collision detection is not found, then it will transmit and receive the data. That means now it will keep checking, sensing the data, right? The first bit it is being sent, it keeps sensing that whether there is a collision detection, it will send second bit, then wait for the collision detection. Like this, it keeps on checking the collision detection, right? Keep sending bit by bit. But once if the collision is detected, it will come here. Means this particular loop is, first bit it will send, then checks the collision detection, second bit it will send, checks for collision detection. Like this, it keeps on going on. But if in the meanwhile, if it detects a collision, then it will come over here. But how all the bits in the frame is being transmitted, in the whole duration the collision is not detected, then in that particular case, there is a successful transmission, the particular packet is sent, it will come out. But now, in the off of the packet, if the collision is detected, then his job is to send the jamming signal, right? Informing others. Don't try to, once again, trying to shade the channel for sending the data, right? Because now C is ready sending the data, so only in the middle its packet is disturbed. So others should not unnecessarily occupy the channel. So it will send the jamming signal and then go for once again attempt to resend the packet, right? It will make the k is equal to +1, then waits for random time, the random exponential time, how it generates, you know, right? It will generate a number r between 0 and to the power of k minus 1, wait for that particular time tb, then once again go, waits for the channel to be once again that freeze some time slots, then start sending. So that means once it will acquire the channel, it will continue until the whole packet is sent. That is what is happening in CSMA CD, right? The energy level I told you. The throughput here is better, right? I think almost now is telling here in this particular case, the throughput is 50%, right? You have seen Aloha was having 18.4, Slotted was having 36. Now it is much, much better. It is 50% is the success rate here, right? And see, in the previous case, the correction is being taken care by the station only after identifying the collision detection, right? Right? It is better. Protection is better than cure, right? In the previous case, it was trying to cure after identifying that there is a collision. So prevention is always better, you know, that's what you're seeing nowadays, right? Always for corona, we have to be more preventive rather than thinking that it doesn't come to me, brave it yourself, then try to cure later. No, that is more dangerous, right? So that is what here. Rather than wait for collision and transmit the packet, it is better to avoid collision, right? So the another method that is proposed is CSMA-CA, collision avoidance, right? So collision avoidance scheme is proposed here, right? So collision has to be avoided. If the collision is avoided, once again, the throughput is much, much better, right? So here, the three concepts are introduced, we remember. So in the CSMA-CD, we have got one persistence, P persistence, or non-persistent schemes to avoid the collisions. But here, addition to that, they have added two more methodology strategies here to avoid the collision. What is that is, as usual in the previous processes here, the channel waits for, the station waits for the channel to be free. So in order to know that whether it has to send the data or not, it will incorporate one of the persistent methods. So here in the collision sense multiple access, it always adopts the one persistence methodology, right? So it is checking the channel. The first method in the CSMA collision avoidance is the channel keeps checking, the station keeps checking the channel with a continuous sense. That is what one persistence. Once it finds the channel is idle, now it will incorporate the second strategy. The second strategy is it will introduce a idle frame time called as IFS. Interframe space time is incorporated, right? Interframe space time is a fixed time slot, right? That will be incorporated. That is the second method or strategy it will adopt. First strategy is applying a one persistence method to check whether the channel is free or idle. Once it finds the channel is idle, the second strategy it goes to introduce the IFS. And the third strategy is after IFS, even if it finds the channel is free, it will not try to send the data. It will introduce what is called as a contention window, right? Contention window is once again, this is called as a contention window. I will tell you later the contention window, what it does. And then send the frame, and after sending the frame, it will wait for the acknowledgement. That is the third strategy, right? It will wait for the acknowledgement from the receiver that whether the packet has been received safely or not. So these are the three strategies that is incorporated in CSMA-CA. One is that is the introducing the P persistence method. Then the second is the interframe space. Then the contention window. Then the last one will be the wait for the acknowledgement, right? Send the frame. and wait for the acknowledgement, right? What is this interframe space? Interframe space is a fixed time slot, right? It waits for a period time called as interframe space. It is a fixed. It is agreed upon in the initially by all that independent station which are vying for a single channel to transmit the data to see that whether the channel is idle, right? So that is IF time is a idle time where it will wait. After that, it goes into the contention window. Contention window consists of many smaller time slots, time units, right? So many smaller time units. So you see the contention window is an amount of time divided into smaller slots. A station that is ready to send choose a random number of slots at its wait time. That means here, the number of small time slots are random in nature. How that randomization now grows is, initially it will start with, initially in the beginning, one wait slot. And in that particular time, once again, if it finds that there is some waiting time is required, it will now goes with an exponential time, right? Exponential backup energy means it will calculate R, then that waiting time it will wait so that the number of this fixed unit of the time slot added will increase. It can be 1, next it will increase to 2, 3, it can be any number here, right? After that exponential time is over, then still if it finds that it is free, the channel is free, it sends the frame, wait for the acknowledgement, and it will introduce the time, right? Timeout. Within this timeout time, it has to receive the acknowledgement. If it doesn't receive the acknowledgement, then probably the packet might have been lost. It may try to resend the packet. No? How this whole CSMA-CA strategy works is now explained in the form of a flow diagram here, you see. So it has to, here also now, if the acknowledgement is not received, it has to resend the packet, right? So that's why. How many times should it resend the packet? Maximum in this particular methodology, strategy, they use 15 times they try to resend. If it doesn't succeed within this 15 time duration, 15 time resending duration, I think it will abort, right? So it starts with k is equal to 0, first packet, waits for the channel, right? That's what you have seen here. It waits for the channel to be free. Once if the channel is free, right? It, as soon as it waits for IFS, checks is it still idle. If it is still idle, now it starts introducing the contention window. In the contention window, it will start with the first time unit slot. Then that R, it will be chosen some random number. Based on the random number, then it waits for so many R slots. If R comes to be 10, it waits for R smaller unit of size slots. Then after that, it keeps checking if the channel is, now you see here in this particular R slot, it keeps on changing, checking the channel, whether it is busy or free. So after each slot, it will check for the idleness of the channel and continue, releases one more waiting slot. If it is busy, it halts, right? It halts and wait there only, means keeps on introducing the wait slots until the channel becomes free, right? That it may increase, right? Or may keep growing. So once it finds in that particular duration, the channel is free, it sends the frame now, right? And after sending the frame, waits for the acknowledgement, right? And how long it has to wait for the acknowledgement? It will introduce a timer. As soon as the frame is sent, it will introduce a timer that how long it has to wait. In that waiting time, if it receives the acknowledgement, yes, it is successful. In this within waiting time, if the acknowledgement is not received, then no, it will make k is equal to 1, go back and repeat the process to resend the same packet. Okay, that is what is CSMA CD protocol, right? CSMA CD, CSMA CA, and the CSMA protocols one after the other. So this particular flow diagram is for CSMA CA. The previous flow diagram that I showed was for CSMA CD, right? So those are the multiple access protocol. They had the disadvantages, right? And still they thought that, okay, can't we better it, right? So the throughput, it was, they were able to reach up to 50% and 60% in this particular case. But can't they improve the performance? So they went for a controlled access, right? You know that in the control access, there are once again 3 types: reservation, then polling, and token passing, right? It is here it is a reserve, right? Reservation in the sense, let me take a scenario where a teacher will be asking 3 questions. Now I take out only this particular diagram. With respect to this diagram, I'll explain an example. Then let us go to this. A teacher wants like to ask 3 questions. Then he will shoot the first question. He will ask the student to answer. There are nobody to answer. Let me assume that there are 5 students in the class. So 5 stations are there. No, that is equivalent to a 5 station. The teacher throws a question. None of the student knows the answer. So they will not do any reservation. It means that the station, it is what is called as reservation is nothing but a controlled access. There must be one leader here. The consultation with each other, they will find out this reservation technique, because in all the previous cases, all the stations were independent. But now here in a controlled access, there must be somebody to monitor. There must be some process to monitor. That's what you see here. It is called as a controlled access. The stations consult each other to find which station has the right to send. That means there must be some authority. There must be some authorization among themselves, right? No primary or no server which monitors it. Among them, one will be acting as the authorization, or they share the authorizations among themselves and act accordingly. No, self-discipline. It is called as a self-discipline, right? Nowadays, we see that in a self-discipline, whenever you go to the shop, you wait in the queue. Similarly, here, look at here, there are so many stations. 5 stations are there. In the first question, nobody has got an answer, nobody reserves. But when he throws the second question, only one student rises. He is given a reservation, right? So he is given a reservation. When he is giving a reservation, nobody will reserve the slots, only one. So he is allowed to send the data, right? And the data frame here, you see that there are fixed time slots, right? There are the fixed time slots are there here, and it will send the data. That particular reservation and the data transmission is complete. The third reservation arises here, right? The teacher throws a third question, and for the third question, the student number 1, 3, 4, there rises their hands. Now they are giving the reservation. Reservation is already a pre-agreed upon. The first person will be the first choice, the first priority. Second doesn't raise the question, doesn't raise that he like to answer. Third and fourth has got a data to send. Now the order is the teacher asks the first person to answer, right? The first station is given a slot. After that, the second has not raised the alarm. So the third and the fourth, their data will come one after the other. Now these reservations and the data transmission is over. They go to the fourth, right? So likewise, the reservation protocol will operate, okay? It is a self-exercised controlled access by the stations, right? And the next one is polling, right? So in the polling, one of them among the stations will be the primary, will be the controller, right? And all remaining stations will be the secondary, right? So all secondary will be under the control of the primary, right? So here there are 2 secondaries and 1 primary, and it will operate in 2 methodology, right? So if the primary wants to send the data, secondaries will become the receivers, right? So whenever the primary, in the first particular concept, if the primary, if it has got a data to send, it can select the secondaries and send the data. And then in the second one, if the secondaries has got a data, and if the primary wants the data from the secondaries, then they go for this poll. That means there are 2 strategies used here. Where if the primary wants to send the data, it uses the select method. And if the primary wants to receive the data from the secondaries, it uses the poll method, right? Poll function. So what happens in the select function? Now the primary wants to send the data to one of the secondary, right? It selects the select function. It will send the select packet, right? So the select packet means, suppose it is selecting B. In this particular select packet, it puts the address of B and then send it. So A also will be in the channel, right? Since this packet is not for A will not respond. But this packet is for B, it will reaches B. B will respond. If it is free, okay, it will respond with an acknowledgement. As soon as receiving the acknowledgement, then primary understand that the B is idle, it will send the data. After receiving the data, B will acknowledge the data, and that particular process of the complete communication of data transfer from primary to secondary is complete. Okay, so this is what is the select function operation. Now when primary is trying to send the data, but when primary wants the data, it uses the poll function, right? In the poll function, so what the primary will do, it will now poll it because it has to receive the data. Who has got the data? That's why it will poll all the secondaries. If there are 3 secondaries, it's poll all the 3. If there are now in this case only 2 secondaries, so it will send a poll function. So in the poll function, it will solicit the transmission from the secondary device, right? It will ask first A. It is also once again in the order. It will ask A, poll, is it you are ready with the data? It will send the poll packet. Then that is nothing but it is asking A, is it you are ready with the data? Suppose if A is not ready with the data, it says not acknowledged. I don't have a data. It will send an AK packet indicating that it is not ready with any data to be sent to primary. Then after that, it will try to poll B. Now poll is B has got a data, right? Then it will capture this poll, right? And then it is ready with the data now. We will send the data and the primary acknowledges. Suppose now C is there. Then the primary polls C also. If the poll is C is ready with the data, then it will send the data like this. It will poll all the devices, checking that, soliciting that whether if they have got a data, they can send the data, right? So like this, in the round robin fashion, the polling will be happening. So in this case, the primary is doing the justice. If it is sending the data, it will choose and send to the selected station. If it wants to receive the data from the stations, it will go to the poll function. It polls everybody. If anyone is having the data, it can send. If all are having the data, they can send. Suppose if A also is having a data, B is also having data, it takes the data from A. Then after receiving the data from A, it will go to B, takes the data from B, it goes to C, it takes the data from C. That's how this the poll reservation protocol works. Right now the time is over. I'll stop at this process. Any questions?
Sir.
Sir. We have to enable.
ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅಲೋಹ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಇದೆ
ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಾ
15 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್
ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಓಕೆ so all of you stay back. I'll go to the problem. Okay, so there are only few problems here. Only 2 problems are there. I'll solve those 2 problems. I think can you take down? Is it, sir, let them take down, or shall I explain the problem?
This is shared already with them.
Okay, no problem there. Right. So now it is shared amongst you. I'll just read the problem. In pure Aloha network, it transmits frames. The frame size is 200 bits, right? On a channel which has 200 kilobits per second, the transmission rate, right? That means now the frame size is given and the transmission speed is given, right? So it is 200 bit frame and the speed of the channel is 200 kilobits per second. Now, what will be the throughput? Now the throughput formula for pure Aloha, you know, it is S is equal to G into e to the power of minus 2G, right? This is the formula. For slotted Aloha, the throughput is much better, and they have arrived at this particular formula. And you can ask me that how this formula has been assayed. Can you derive, right? Now the derivation of this formula is not your syllabus. It has been found out after several experimentation and the mathematical models, right? It is all probabilistic model, right? The formula is there already. They have calculated. Only the thing is you need to remember the formula, right? Now let us take the first condition where 1000 frames per second are sent. Then what should be the throughput? Success rate. If 100 frames are sent per second by the station, what should be the throughput? Means how many packets will succeed. If 250 frames are sent per second, what will be the success rate? Now let us see, to solve this particular problem, we need to find out the G value, right? So how the G value is found out? The G value formula, if you want, you can note it down, is G is given by transmission time divided by time taken for one frame, right? Time taken for one frame by the device. Understand? Transmission time is divided, G is transmission time divided by time taken for one frame by the device. Now, the frame transmission time, right? Because it is common, whatever may be the number of frames sent by the devices or stations, the frame time is same because the speed is same. So now if you calculate this, the frame transmission time is the number of bits by the speed in which the data is being transmitted. 200 bits divided by 200 kilobits per second. So 200 divided by 200 into 10 to the power of 3, right? You have to convert into millisecond. 200 kilobits, right? Per second is there. So 200 divided by 200 into 10 to the power of 3 will be the bits per second, right? Now if you calculate this, it will become 1 by 1, right? So that means kilo is there, 10 to the power of 3. 200 will cancel. In the denominator, you will have 10 to the power of 3. If you take it as the numerator, it is 10 to the power of minus 3. So that is nothing but it is 1 millisecond is the transmission frame time, right? Now let us come to G. The first case, it is transmitting 1000 frames per second. That means put the formula. 1000 frames are sent in 1000 millisecond, right? Because 1 second is nothing but 1000 millisecond. 1000 frames are sent per second means 1000 frames are sent in 1000 millisecond. In 1 millisecond, why I am going for 1 millisecond? I want to calculate G, right? In 1 millisecond, how many frames are sent? So it is 1 only, right? G becomes 1 here. Transmission time is 1. And the time taken by one frame in this particular case is also 1 millisecond. So 1 millisecond divided by 1 millisecond, G will be 1 in this case. Now, S is equal to G into e to the power of minus GV will become 1.135. It is 13.5% is the success rate, throughput. That means if it is sending 1000 packets multiplied by 0.135, 135 frames will be successful and others will not survive. Let us come to the second case. It is sending 500 frames per second in the sense, what is the time, frame time? Frame time is nothing but in 1 millisecond, only half frame is sent. That means one frame time is 2 milliseconds. Understand all of you? One frame time in this case is 2 milliseconds. In the previous frame problem, one frame time is 1 millisecond. Now here, one frame is taking 2 milliseconds. Then go for G. G is the transmission time, 1 millisecond, divided by time taken for one frame. It is 2 milliseconds. So 1 by 2 will become G is equal to 1 by 2, right? Half. Substitute that. Simple. You will get 0.184. 18.4% is the throughput, right? Means how many packets are successful? 500 multiplied by 0.184. So 92 packets will survive, right? So that is what is in this particular problem. Now let us get to the third one. There are 250 frames are sent per second means in 1 millisecond only half frame is sent. That means the frame time is 4 milliseconds, right? In half frame, in 1 millisecond, 1 by 4 frame is sent means in 1 millisecond, 4 milliseconds will be taken by one frame to travel. That means G is given by the transmission time that is of the channel is 1 millisecond divided by the time for each frame is 4 millisecond in this case for each frame. So G will become 1 by 4. Substitute that. Here you will get only 38 frames are successful. Same problem, you apply first slotted Allah. The problem is same, right? Calculation of G is same. But in this case, the throughput is only S is equal to G into the power of minus G. There it was 2G. Only this formula changes. All other remaining calculation remains same, right? So your transmission time of the frame for the channel remains same. But here it varies. First case is if it is sending 1000 frames per second. So if you take first case, it is 1 frame 1 millisecond, G will be 1. Second one is 1 frame is taking 2 millisecond, G will become off. The third is here 1 frame is taking 4 milliseconds. So 1 by 4 is G and the success rate. Accordingly, that you will get by applying that how many frames are being successful. Okay. So there is one more problem. Net. Sir, Sandeep sir.
Sir,
Yeah, the third one. Never explain mobile. Say SMACD on 2 minutes.
okay. Yeah.
ನಾನು ಆಚೆ ಬರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ?
ಏನ್ ಬೇಡ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್, ಹಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
Okay, ಸರಿ.
See, a network, this is a protocol which is used is CSMA CD. Has a bandwidth of 10 Mbps. So maximum propagation time is 25.6 microsecond. What is the minimum size of the frame? What is required here? Here, minimum frame transmission time, the problem is, the formula is given. TFR is 2 times the TP. 2 times the TP here. Okay. That is here it is equal to 2 into, we get 51.2 because here it's maximum propagation time is given 25.6 microsecond multiplied by 2. The TP is 25.6 here. Remember, it's given 2 times of that is 51.2 microsecond. So this is, in the worst case, a station needs to transmit a period of 51.2 microseconds to detect the collision. So in CSMA CD, a station needs to transmit a period of 51.2 microseconds to detect the collision. The minimum size of the frame is 10 Mbps. 10 Mbps, it is given here as a bandwidth into 51.2, that is frame transmission time, multiplied by that, we get 512 bits, or if you convert that into byte, we get 64 bytes. That is how the minimum size of the frame should be 64 bytes. It is simply a substitution, that's all. Okay. Sir?
So I think we have more time.